Good evening, good morning, and welcome to everyone. Let's start our class today with a prayer together. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, friend, beloved God, great masters, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahashaya, Swami Sri Yukteswarji, beloved Master Paramhansa Yogananda Ji, saints of all religions, we bow at thy feet. We ask thy blessings on our satsang now. Fill us with thy joy and thy love as we open our hearts to thee. Om Shanti Shanti. Today's topic is springtime at Ananda, and we'll start with the song Woodland Davis and then a short, brief excerpt from a talk by Swamiji on this topic. Welcome again to everyone.
You devas of woodlands, of mountains and field, come shower on us blessings and light. The wonders that nature befriended can yield, reveal to our hearing and sight. Your melodies whispering joy on the air affirm that God's everywhere. O devas of woodlands, of mountains and field, be with us in blessing this night. You devas of woodlands, of mountain and field, come shower on us blessings and light. The wonders that nature befriended can yield, reveal to our hearing and sight. Your melodies whispering joy on the air affirm that God's everywhere. O devas of woodland, of mountain and field, be with us in blessing this night.
We need to be able to concentrate carefully and one-pointedly if we are to develop a new state of awareness. The purpose of the arts, then, is to help us to develop that kind of awareness that will make it possible for us at all times to be more aware. I've noticed, for example, in traveling, that it helps to take photographs because that makes you more conscious of things that you wouldn't otherwise notice so specifically. You think more in general ways. I've heard people say, well, I don't want to take photographs because I want to enjoy it. I don't think that really works quite as well. Certainly if you're running a race, you can't be taking photographs. But there are many times when being specifically aware of this particular beauty and that particular interest is much more rewarding than just sort of the general living it through and then trying to remember at the end of the day what on earth happened. The purpose of the arts is similar to that. The difference between art and science is the science is the technique of it. Art is that which brings life and technique together into a flow. The science of a person in the laboratory is knowing what to do, but many people knowing what to do can't make a success of it. There are many people in laboratories, for example, who never make great discoveries. There are many people, in fact, and this is one thing that scientists, because of their particular approach, and you might even say dogma, won't even admit to themselves, and yet sometimes they just about have to. They have to recognize that there comes a point where somebody has the ability to make this experiment work, and other people don't. The example, of course, in biology, it's more obvious, but Luther Burbank, who, because he loved the plants would obey him. when he developed that spineless cactus. And he would just constantly tell it, you don't need to be afraid. No one wants to hurt you. I'm your friend. And with that attitude, gradually he developed this spineless cactus. The cactus yielded up its protectiveness.
Good evening, good morning again, friends. I'm at Ananda Village. It's springtime at Ananda here. And I like to just share with you the joy, the beauty of this wonderful place at this time of year. I'd like to start with a brief reading of something I found on ananda.org, a story from Swami Kriyanandaji. Many years ago in America, Swamiji says, a young man from India laughed as he told me how his grandmother, after listening to a spiritual talk on the radio, would place a flower on the radio, as though the radio itself were aware of what it was transmitting. His grandmother's sensitivity, I thought, was greater than his. Granted, the radio itself wasn't aware, but how else could she demonstrate her gratitude to God outwardly for the truths she'd been hearing? To her, the radio was simply a symbol, as also was the flower she placed on it. One might worship a stone if through that symbol one invokes God and views the stone as a reminder of the infinite Lord. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, in whatsoever form people worship me, I myself accept their offering. It's such a beautiful time of year here at Ananda, and I came here for a variety of reasons, but I'm also here at a wonderful time. It's called springtime at Ananda. It's glorious, it's heavenly, there's flowers everywhere, and it's a very beautiful season to be here. And we all know that people go to places that are beautiful in nature. People go to, I was remembering going to Yosemite National Park here in America, and in different places, Kruger National Park in South Africa, and in Zambia, the Victoria Falls, and we all like to go out to the oceans or the forest or the mountains or in various gardens, different places. And it's not so much what we see. We think, oh, I'm seeing beauty. But we have to realize it's also what we feel. Beautiful places open us up. Beautiful places calm the mind. Beautiful colors uplift us and inspire us. And Swami Kriyanandaji here at Ananda wanted to create, and he has, through the gardeners here, a world-class garden. And he wanted to focus on tulips, because tulips are so beautiful and they're all different colors, and they open up in the day, they close at night. And so from nothing, really a hillside where Swamiji was living, he asked the gardeners who had never done this before, anything like this, he said, could you create a garden here so that people can come and feel God? I think we know this song, What is Love of Swamiji's. Is it only ours? Is it love that we touch in the flowers? And so we know that it's a vibration of love, of peace, of sweetness that comes. Then you add the scent to it. It's just glorious, and the colors, and it really is healing and uplifting and beautifully inspiring. And so Swamiji had this vision. He drew it on a piece of paper and gave it to the gardeners. And these are some of my good friends who have created these beautiful gardens. It was 10, 15 years ago. They started the springtime at Ananda. They said they put an ad in the local newspaper and 250 people came. And they little by little created this wonderland. And then now they're, believe it or not, last year they had 17,000 tulips. And that's just only tulips. There are all other flowers sprinkled in there, and flowering trees, and the scents of the flowers are just, it's just it's an astral world. And they had that many flowers, and 13,000 people came. After 10, 15 years of people coming, they tell their friends, and now it's on the television, it's in the newspapers about Ananda, the springtime at Ananda. People come, they have a meal here, they're greeted with love, they come to the whoever's parking, helping them park their cars, greeting them, and somebody's helping them down the stairs, and the person calls them about their reservation, and it's really a wonderland. And so people come they don't really know, they think they're just coming because of the tulips, but they're coming and they're receiving so much more. They're receiving, they love it, and the flowers love it. And I remember Daviji told me, she said one day there were hundreds and hundreds of people coming, and who came that day, and she told Swamiji over the phone, there were so many people here, Swamiji, and the tulips, the flowers look just as fresh as they did in the morning. And he said, of course, they've been admired all day. And of course, anything you give love to is going to be beautiful and expansive. And we know all the different experiments with plants. As you love them, they grow. As you play beautiful music to them, they grow even bigger. And the opposite happens. So the plants love it. And the people, I see them when they come, and they're kind of, they haven't been here. What kind of place is this? And then they more and more, they're just smiling, and the weight of the world just melts off of them, and their worries, and they feel safe, and they feel secure, loving energy, not just from the people, but from the plants, from the devas, the astral entities that are just making all the wonderful vibrations here and growing the plants. And surely the masters must visit here. There are Murtis of the masters all over. And there's a big one of Babaji in the tulip garden, and he just looks like he's very happy. That's all I can say. But people come, and I'm staying over there, so I talk to as many people as I can, and I see them with their cameras, phone cameras. Some people have big lens cameras, and they're just around taking the pictures and all. And but something else is going on. And I remember just the other day I was out there, and I greeted these people who were there, and the lady said, well, are you visiting too? And I said, I came here in 1978 to live. And she said, oh, really? And then she said, let me take your hand. And she took my hand. She held my hand for several minutes, and she said, I feel like weeping. I'm just so happy to meet a real person who's been living here in this vibration. And I mean, I know that she received a blessing here while she was here. And another, I saw two people who looked like they were lonely. They hadn't been before. And I looked, I was in the kitchen in just where the gardens are. And I looked out and saw them, and I thought, now, what would Swamiji do? He would go out there and say hello. And I took my shoes off. I went out there, and I said, hello, it's your first time? And they were kind of, and I said, are you enjoying it? I just talked to them, and they just melted. And they said, well, how did you get here? Why did you come here? And we had a wonderful conversation. It's like we're apart. Everything together is making this wonderful blessing for everybody who comes, and you feel it. And one little boy, he was a special needs child. He was maybe 6 or 7 or maybe 8. And there were all these children who had come from a special needs school, and they were all in the tulips, and you can't pick anything, but you can get close. And so this little boy went to his teacher, and he said, you just don't know how happy I am. It's so touching, just think of it, the little children feel the vibrations. And you can't help it, but it's like people come for tulips and they get God. They don't know what happened, they all say, I'm coming back, I got a season pass. And I said, go for it. How many places can you go to when there's so much love? There's so much joy. The joy is in the plants and in the trees. There's so much peace. People need it. I'm telling you. People have told me, their spouse just passed last year, or a spouse died from COVID, or somebody's in the hospital, or they have a health challenge themselves or their finances. And they walk into this place where God is present and God is blessing them. And I think that I feel Master's presence here in all the staff and all the gardens and everywhere. And I feel him blessing everybody who comes. So Swamiji created a place for blessings, for light, for the angels and the devas to just float down and touch people in the heart. And you see, every time, many people have come many times, and they've told me, I came to this, I came 10 times or every year, whatever. And I look at them, and what do I see? I see God's blessing on their face. No matter what they've gone through, they go deeper and deeper every year. And what a beautiful place Swamiji has created for God to come and touch people's hearts. Even though they've got a camera, they think they're just taking a picture, but they're receiving so much more. I like to close with this quote from Master. It says, the majority of the innumerable astral entities, maybe this is from Swamiji, whom we might call nature spirits or devas, thrive on love and give us more energy if we offer them our love and appreciation. If they feel unloved and ignored, they withdraw in much the same way people do when their expressions of goodwill are misunderstood. The more love we give out, the more all things respond, reciprocating our feelings with harmony and abundance. I'd like to show you now a few pictures of, this isn't this year because it's been heavy snowing here, as you probably know, in California and up in the mountains here. So the tulips they're waiting a few more days, but there's a few of them out. But I'll show you some pictures from last year and with some beautiful quotes on flowers and nature. So these are all from the Crystal Hermitage Garden, Springtime at Ananda. Can you believe the people who created this, God through them, had never done gardens before? They were just in tune with Divine Mother. I'll ask Nitendra now to come on screen, and we have a few questions.
Thank you.
You can go on ananda.org and you can look at more photos of Springtime at Ananda.
Thank you so much, Dhyanaji, for the wonderful pictures. We have a few questions, Dhyanaji. The first one is, how can I be more in my heart instead of always being in my mind?
I would say go to places in nature, go to the ocean, go to the forest, go to beautiful places with flowering trees and flowers. Get out of the city and get away from always looking at the television or the online or social media, or it just it takes something away. Yes, it's convenient, but also it hampers us. And so take walks, go to beautiful parks. And I remember when I went to the Victoria Falls in Zambia, God, that sound of Om in the falls, just as I was walking towards it, it was just overwhelming. You can't be in your mind when that's happening. And also music will help you. Chanting and listening to uplifting our music is wonderful to uplift your consciousness, and being with people who are more in the heart, listening to talks that are of Swamiji's. Swamiji, early on, I'll close with this because we have a couple more questions. His talks were so expansive and deep and philosophical, and also they had heart, but I didn't really, just like reading Autobiography of a Yogi, I didn't really get what he was saying so much, but I felt it. Isn't it so? And you feel Autobiography of a Yogi? Master said, I put the vibrations in that book. And so you don't have to always think it's going to come from my mind. You have to just little by little through the things I said and sing. I love to sing. Do you sing? I was telling my friends here that in Gurgaon, going from Delhi to Gurgaon, the drivers, I have the same drivers, they know all Swamiji's songs. Because I sing them all the way to Gurgaon, I sing them all the way back to Delhi, because I just love singing. And this is another way of opening your heart. And try some of these things and be with people who are more joyful, who are more loving, who are more uplifting. As Master told Swamiji, you have to get devotion, remember? And Swamiji was very intellectual, and Master did several things to try to break him of that. But one, he said, you have to get devotion. And Swamiji went and got a harmonium. He started chanting, and he prayed to Divine Mother for devotion. So also pray to God, help me to be more balanced. And Swamiji said, Master didn't want me to become dumb and lose my intellect. He just wanted me to balance. So this is what we're talking about, balancing. And wow, by the time Swamiji, near the time when he left his body, before that, he was so balanced, head and heart. And I remember one talk he gave, I think it was Chennai, but I can't remember exactly where in India. And he came away from that and he said, I won't be giving any more talks like that. I just want to talk to devotees. He had gotten to the point where he had enough of trying to convince people to love God. He said, I want to talk to people who love God. So try these things and they will help you to develop more heart.
Thank you so much, Dhyanaji. The next question is, you showed the flowers and you're talking about the gardeners as well. So what did the Ananda gardeners tune into when creating beautiful flower garden there?
I think they tuned into Master. They're devotees, longtime Kriya bonds. They prayed for help. I mean, they didn't know what to do. And then I think they listened to the Divine Mother and Master. How do we go about this? And it's good for anything that you're creating, not just a garden. Just pray to Divine Mother. Which way should I go? How do I do it? And they developed it over the years. You know, they had certain flowers one year, then they expanded because they kept getting more and more attuned themselves. As you're more in tune, you can create more. And so I'm sure when their prayers ask Swamiji too to guide them. But what they've created, you've seen there. And this one of the fellows, I was talking to him on the way over here tonight, and he said, yeah, people come from all over the world, and the little children, they wear their best dresses and they stand next to the flowers, get their pictures taken. And many people come from Holland, where they have all the huge tulip fields, and they say, no, we like to come here because it's terraced, and there's all kinds of flowers, but they've created it from the divine voice. You've got to know they've tapped into something amazing, that many people come and are interested and are uplifted from it. That came from God.
Very uplifting, Dhyanaji. One last question. Are there such things as flower devas? And if they are, then what do they do?
I've never seen them, but I certainly feel them around. I mean, I love plants. And here you feel that they're just, the nature devas are happy here because the place is taken care of and there's beauty everywhere and they're loving people who appreciate the flowers. And I go down there every day. I'm living right there at the gardens and I smell the flowers. Oh, you're so beautiful. And I feel devas. I don't see them, you know how down to earth and practical I am, but I do. I do feel their energies, vibrations, and Master said it. I read this for you. He said there are astral entities or devas or however we want to call them, angels who help to make things beautiful. I mean, in this context, they help in many ways, but how is nature so beautiful? Different times we do our part and Divine Mother does the rest and she helps. You can see it as Divine Mother's helpers. How about that? Because she can't come everywhere and do everything. So she has helpers who come and nobody sees them really, but you certainly feel presences. You walk in the garden here, it's like, wow. And why do people go up and hug a tree? I mean, you feel something there. I go to Lodi Garden and I hug the trees. I just want to feel the vibration. I take my socks off and I walk on the grass. I want to feel Mother Earth. There are vibrations that are in nature that we feel. And those vibrations we can say are devas or Divine Mother's helpers to make everything grow, to keep things beautiful. But, you know, when we get off, it goes off. You have tornadoes, you have earthquakes, you have too much snow, you have too much rain, you have the flooding, you know, that's our fault. And so if it's in balance, then everything comes out just the way it's supposed to. And if it's out of balance, people blame God. It's our own fault. And so if we can, the more we can create and appreciate and support and do our part with nature, the more we join hands. And then things work out so much better. But the more we destroy, there's going to be problems. And we see that now with, you know, the problems with climate change. So all of us have to do our part. Do your part. Give back to nature, to Divine Mother in that way. And you will feel that her blessing, her grace is there. God bless you all. And I'll be back in India in a couple of weeks. I look forward to seeing you all then. God bless you. Thank you, Natendra.